That's interesting, and no better testament to that than someone like yourself that's been in the industry 10 years, fighting since back in '01. I want to ask you about a couple of the guys that you actually have been in the cage with, as they have some relevance to what's going on right now, both here locally in Vancouver and also just on the big scene. Kid Yamamoto makes his debut in the UFC, and Dana just announced that fight's actually going to be on Facebook against DeMarcus Johnson. The hype behind Kid Yamamoto, you guys went to a no contest back in '01. What do you remember of Kid back then, and what do you think of what and who he's become?
The kid back then was a little bit bigger. He had a little more muscle on him. He was just coming out of the wrestling circuit. He exploded onto the scene, had huge knockout power. Was just getting into the striking, and but he had Olympic caliber wrestling. And he was training with Instant Italy at the time, who was his brother-in-law. And I got to tell you, super nice guy, great guy, real personable. But I don't know how he's going to react. It's a lot of the Japanese fighters when they come over to the U.S. It's a hard transition for them. I don't know if it's because the crowd actually makes a ton of noise, if it's because they're not used to that scene. I mean, they may not just, they walk into the cage. That cage, when that cage door shuts, it's a lonely world in there. It's a little bit different than getting in a ring. Mm-hmm. So, it depends. I'm hoping for the best for him, and hope he's able to pull out a win. I think it'd be great for the Japanese to have somebody over here that doesn't suffer from just I guess the itis, whatever you want to call it. Just, the unfortunate losses that it takes over here. I don't know what it is, but hopefully he pulls out a good win.
That's similar to what we've seen out of a lot of the Pride guys when they first came over to either Strikeforce cage or the UFC cage. Another guy that you faced, back in, when was it, '02, and that was a win for you, was a guy local to us up here in Kajan Johnson. Kajan is from Burns Lake here in BC, and he's actually back in the MFC now. What do you remember from fighting Kajan Johnson?
I remember he was really young when I fought him, and to be honest, I'd never heard of him. It was a fight that we took, I think on 2 or 3 weeks' notice, and, to be honest, he gave me fits for the first 5 minutes, and then, being so young that he was, I think he kind of broke mentally once I started grinding him out a little bit, and but hopefully he's gotten over that time, and that pace, that was a young part in his career. And at the time, I think I'd already had the fight with Kid Yamamoto. Mm-hmm. I'd also fought a couple other guys before then. I was just about to get signed by the UFC, so it was just I was taking fights like that on the side, to make a little extra money. Even when I was with the UFC, I fought Rob McCullough. After I was already with the UFC, I fought Rob in the WFA. Just to make a little extra money and things like that. When you're young, trying to start your career, you're looking for any way to make money and actually get more time in the cage, and it makes a huge difference in your career. Kajan, he was real tough, very athletic, surprisingly strong for how small, for how young he was. He's probably a lot, kind of grown into his body, I think a little bit more probably now, but like I said, I think he was a little overwhelmed with just having the experience that I had. I think I was able to overwhelm him a little bit, and I could hear him as I was grounding and pounding him. I could hear him kind of break a little bit mentally, and then after that, the fight was over.
Interesting. Yeah, he has grown up a bit, but it's interesting to hear about some of his trials when he was younger or whatever. But yeah, he's in the MFC doing great up here. I had to ask you though because I noticed the name. Damo though, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, speaking of career, that's what it's all about. You had a belt and time for you to go back after it. Is that a goal? And what do you see for yourself? Do you have a timeline set up? What is your goal to get in terms of title shot and for you to be back on top and stuff again? Do you have that? Obviously, it's on your mind. Let me know what from your perspective, where you see yourself going and how you're going to get there.
Right now, I'm really hoping the whole tournament thing works out, because if it does, then that'll let you know exactly where you stand in the standings of being one of the best lightweights in the world, if not the best. If you have the number one guy, I believe in the world, in Gilbert. If Gilbert's in that, I've already asked and requested that if he is, that we're on opposite ends of the bracket, so we don't have to fight each other in the beginning. We'd rather fight each other ourselves in the finals. Mm-hmm. And I think those would be great fights. I think the winner of Healy and Beerbomb will probably be in it as well. It sounds like something like that may possibly happen. And then probably one more Japanese guy, possibly the guy that knocked out Aoki over in Dynamite. So you just try to figure out who the guys are going to be, and like I said, I just want to focus on that. If that actually does happen, if the lightweight tournament Grand Prix happens, that'll be my main focus, and then I think that'll all speak for itself, and I'll let you know right where you stand.
After Aoki suffered that loss that was obviously of the devastating variety, Gianotsu, as the guy goes by, very impressive finish on his part. Aoki talking a little bit about possibly retiring. What would you see if that a guy like that to be lost for the Japanese people in their MMA world? That's basically one of their top guys. That would cost them a lot in the in the belief of their system, I guess, kind of department.
Yeah, I don't think he'll retire. To be honest, I don't think he'll retire, especially if the tournament thing comes about. So definitely enter the tournament because that'll give him a chance to fight in Japan and show the world that he is possibly one of the best guys in the world, if not the best. I don't think if he's a fighter at all, and he's got that whole the Japanese fighter warrior spirit type thing that they live by, then I don't see any reason why he wouldn't join that tournament to find out if he is the best. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if the tournament doesn't happen, I could see him just taking time off, getting his wits back about him, maybe 5-6 months off, and then getting that that urge to fight again back in him. And once that happens, he'll be back. There's no doubt about it. You can't be that good at something you do and be one of the best in the world right now at being such a great grappler and MMA fighter. You're just not going to walk away from it just like that. So, just when you talk about it, you kind of just think you get it out of your system when you talk about it, and then you give yourself, a couple months off, and you come back in, refocus, and re-energize, and happy to train again, and I think that's what's going to happen with him.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. One more thing before we let you run, Josh. What's the average day look like in Josh Thomson's life when you're not at AKA? What does a real fighter doing in his spare time?
Right now I'm up here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho right now with Trevor Frankie. After his fight, I told him I'd come up with him up here and kind of work with his students and train with his students a little bit, and give myself time away, visiting my grandmother up here, and hit the ski mountains the other day and was skiing. That's not an average day in life in my life, but I mean this next 3 weeks can be pretty stressful. I'll be at the Super Bowl in Dallas this weekend. And then right when I get back from there, I'm going to Jersey to possibly train with Frankie Edgar for a week until the Strikeforce fights, and be there for the Strikeforce fights in Jersey. And then I'm going to fly basically straight from there to Austin for the next week's Strikeforce fights after that. So it's going to be a busy next 2 weeks, and try to stay focused on that and try to stay in the rhythm of training. I think maybe that on her down to LA and help Rob McCullough train a little bit for his March 12th fight. And that'll help me kind of get focused into my training camp, to get started and get ready into my training camp. Hopefully for the tournament. If that happens, if it doesn't happen, then whoever they put in front of me.
Nice.
All right, Josh. Before we let you go, I got to ask, who's your pick? Who's winning the Super Bowl on Sunday?
I'm going to go with the Steelers just off of base experience. Also, too, if you look at all the ratings, not ratings, but like their rankings in the defense, the offense, they're ranked 1 and 2 throughout everything. Green Bay's kind of right there as well, but they're a little higher up ranked, 8 and 9 in some things. But I just think the overall experience is what's gonna win. Ben Roethlisberger, Hines Ward, all those guys have been there. Polamalu, they've all been there, a lot, especially in the last 5 years. They've been there 2 times, right? I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting big things from them. I mean, I think it's gonna be a close game, but it's not gonna be close enough to really make that big of a splash. It's not gonna be one of those games, like the Patriots and Giants. It's not gonna be one of those games. It's gonna be a little one-sided, but it'll still be kind of a good game. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers, probably 29 to 14 or something along those lines.
All right. Well, hey, I would say don't party so hike up with your hair a funny color, but you just might enjoy it. So, Josh Thomson, thanks for joining us, brother. Take care of yourself, and we'll definitely catch up with you down the road.
All right, guys. Take it easy. Thanks for having me on.